He killed my daughter. But tonight, I will kill him. Come and get me.
Here we are with Halloween Ends. But the big question is, does it? Let's find out. Okay, so Halloween Ends has just come out. This is the third film in the new sort of Halloween series of films that came about in 2018 with Halloween, followed up with Halloween Kills. Last year, was it? And now we've got Halloween Ends, the film that supposedly ends this story, brings this whole Michael Myers business to a close. So essentially the fourth film, if you count the original 1978 Halloween as the first one, aptly named Halloween, same as the 2018 one. But anyway, a lot of confusion there. So this film here, runtime of 1 hour 51 minutes, sees the return of Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode, Andy Matichak as Alison, her granddaughter, Rowan Campbell as a character named Corey, and Will Patton returning as Frank. This film here has been directed by David Gordon Green, who does have credits for directing on the previous two. But is this film any good? Does it offer us a fitting conclusion to this franchise, or doesn't it? Let's find out about it. Let's talk about the story first. So this film here picks up 4 years after the events of the previous one, Halloween Kills. Michael Myers hasn't been about, obviously. And Laurie Strode, she's trying to get on with her life, but the town's kind of gone to hell, and the town is seeking out monsters wherever it can find it. And we're introduced to the character of Corey, this young lad who is babysitting at the time, and this is in more of a flashback scene. The parents of the child that he's babysitting, a young boy, have gone out to a Halloween party, and he's at home, and he shows the boy a horror film, and the boy's not very respectful to him, and the young boy ends up locking him in an attic, a room in the attic. And Corey gets somewhat scared of this, and he starts kicking down the door just as the parents come home. And what happens is, as he kicks the door hits the boy, and the boy flies over the banister, falls to his death. Only Corey is sort of blamed for this by everyone in townsfolk. And we now jump forward. Corey's not in prison or anything like that, but he is living life, and not to the fullest, obviously. He's living his life trying to hide away from people and all this sort of stuff. And he's sort of brought into this whole Michael Myers business. Now, Laurie Strode actually introduces him to her granddaughter, and they form this relationship. But, you know, this Corey, he's not really accepted by the townspeople because of what he's done. They see him as a monster. They view him as this horrible individual because he's a child killer. And it leads him to take on the persona of Michael Myers, essentially, with Michael Myers still being about, Laurie Strode coming to realise this, and all this sort of stuff going on. That's the basis of this story for this film, essentially. Now, this film, it's got problems. It seriously has, in its structure, in its writing, in its characters. This character of Corey, he's the actor who plays him, this Rowan Campbell, he's got no persona on screen. He's got nothing about him, no oomph. This film gives me probably one of the most forced relationships that I've ever seen committed to screen. The relationship in this film that he has with Alison, Laurie's granddaughter, it's forced for the sake of the story. It's just, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like these two characters or these two individuals should be connecting. Not only that, the two actors, these two primary actors, have no chemistry on screen whatsoever. I don't know what they were thinking within the writer's room on this. Not only that, moving on to the story of Michael Myers. So Michael Myers himself has been living for 4 years, in the sewers, in this sewer system below the city or whatever it may be. And this Corey stumbles upon him after being set upon by a gang of youths that keep picking on him. Something happens when he looks into Michael Myers' eyes, that they have a sort of a bond, or almost a sort of fantastical exchange of soul. No soul meets soul, and it drives this Corey on this journey of murder and mayhem, trying to take up the mantle of Michael Myers and doing what he's doing. The only thing being is that, you know, you don't care for this Corey anyway. You've got no interest in him, because from the get-go he's not a nice person, really nice individual anyway, and you know, after what he does with killing the boy, even by accident, you don't feel any remorse for him going through this process or anything. Jamie Lee Curtis does the best with the material that she's got, but again, a lot of it until the end of the film is sitting around just moping about, not doing very much. She's got a little bit more to do in this one than what she had in the last one, where she was just stuck in a hospital bed for the entire film, and she does have a fight with Michael Myers at the end. Now, this film doesn't really, it's not, Michael Myers, you know, doesn't come into this until the very end of the film. He's got a few scenes within, and I'm sure that fans of the series are going to be somewhat annoyed of this. That the film seems to have deviated from what the last two films have given us, to give us this story about this youth that takes on the persona of Michael. This you know, this youth that you don't even got no interest in him, because he's not a compelling character and he's got no screen presence whatsoever. And it just makes for a hard time to watch the film. Now, I wasn't a big fan of Halloween Kills at all. I didn't think it was a very good movie. However, the 2018 one I thought was quite a strong film to reintroduce this character back onto the screen. But this film here, for me, is even worse than that second one, Halloween Kills. That one's is far more interesting in Michael Myers based than this one. This one feels like they've gone off left field and done something else with the franchise and with the character, just to give you this last film, because it does show Michael in this weakened state at first anyway, where he's actually getting thrown around by this boy. So from my perspective, not the sort of Michael Myers that I would want to see on screen anyway, although I'm not a big fan of the character as it is.
He's more dangerous.
The film itself does play around with the theme of monsters and the creation of, and whether society or a town in this case has the ability to take someone who isn't a monster, hence being Corey, who does accidentally kill this child at the beginning, and through the basis of believing he is a monster, actually managed to turn him into one. And this is a reflection on Laurie Strode, and whether the events of Halloween and Laurie Strode and what she's done with Michael actually drove him to do what he's done. And it plays around in that sort of thematic theme park to get this story across. Only the film, I think, thinks it is far more intelligent in the story that it's giving you than what it actually is, whereas it is just this very, very dull story that is not a satisfying conclusion to this film series, or this sequel, this trilogy of films, or quadrilogy if you include the first one as part of it. It honestly doesn't work. The themes don't work, the messaging doesn't work. The death of Michael Myers at the end with the whole townsfolk there, it just feels, it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right. And as to answer the question as to whether this film actually comes to an end or comes to a conclusion. It never does. Of course it doesn't. As this film proved in its story structure and its storytelling, someone else can come along and take over this mantle of Michael Myers, as the boy tried to do in this film. All you need is someone to be somewhat more successful with it. And this film series, if they don't want this film series to die, it won't. And I'm pretty sure that in a few years' time, you're going to see another one of these films, whether it be a reboot or whatever. The fact is, it never ends. It never bloody ends. Especially this film franchise, more than anything else. It's had so many starts and going off in this direction, you know, I'm not a fan of them. I've not seen beyond the first Halloween out of all the others, apart from the Rob Zombie ones, which I didn't care for. And yeah, so I'm not a fan of this in the first place. But for me, this film is a mess of a film. I can't really find anything in it. It's boring, it's dull. Even the Michael Myers stuff, when he is on screen, it's not scary. He's where he is for the convenience of the plot. Killing this doctor guy at the time he kills him, just all over the show. But there we go. Just my thoughts on this film. Not very good at all. Anyway, so that's it. Halloween ends. I wish it would.
You came here to kill me, so do it.